Imagine this. You are walking through life with the same hopes every new year. This year will be different. This year, you'll finally break the pattern. This year, you'll become someone new. But months pass, then years. And somehow, despite all your effort, you find yourself circling back to the exact same place. Old habits, old reactions, old versions of yourself you swore you had outgrown. It's a painful loop, one that makes you wonder, why can't I change? Why does my life feel stuck even when I'm trying? There's a Buddhist story that answers this question better than any self-help book ever written. A story about two seeds. And the real reason your life keeps repeating itself. A weary traveler arrived at a small monastery, carrying the same question many of us secretly carry. He said to the old monk at the gate, "Master, I don't understand. Every year I try to change my life. I set goals. I make plans. I promise myself I'll be better. But every time, I fall back into the same patterns. Why does nothing change?" The monk didn't give him a lecture. He didn't tell him to work harder, meditate more, or stay positive. He handed the traveler two tiny seeds. "Walk with me," the monk said. They walked into a quiet valley where the earth was untouched. The monk pointed to a patch of soft, fertile soil glowing under the morning sun. "Plant one seed here." The traveler pushed it into the earth effortlessly. The soil embraced it like it was ready for new life. Then the monk pointed to another patch of ground just a few steps away. This one was dry, cracked, hard as stone. "Now plant the second seed there." The traveler knelt, pressed the seed against the surface, but the seed bounced off. He tried again, and again. The ground wouldn't open for anything or anyone. Frustrated, he said, "Master, nothing could grow here." The monk nodded, and then he revealed the truth the traveler had been avoiding. "Your actions are seeds," the monk said. "Your mind is the soil." What the monk said next is the heart of this entire teaching. When the mind is soft, open, honest, aware, even the smallest intention begins to grow. But when the mind is hardened by old habits, old fears, old beliefs, no matter how good your intention is, nothing takes root. This hits like a quiet thunderbolt. It means the problem isn't your goals. It's not your motivation. It's not your intelligence or your discipline. The problem is the state of the mind receiving the goal. You can set the same goal 100 times. But if your inner soil hasn't changed, the seed never makes it beneath the surface. Most people try to fix their life by planting new seeds, new habits, new resolutions, new visions. But the soil of the mind is still the same hardened ground that rejected the last 100 seeds, so nothing grows. And the person becomes convinced they are broken or weak, when in truth, they're just planting in soil that hasn't been prepared. This is where Buddhism, psychology, and neuroscience all agree. The mind cannot grow when it is rigid. A rigid mind is trapped inside beliefs like, "This is just who I am. I always fail. Nothing ever works out for me. I can't change. I don't deserve better." These are not thoughts. They are prison bars. And a prison cannot grow a garden. The monk picked up a handful of the soft soil and let it crumble through his fingers. "To change your life," he said, "you must first prepare the mind. You must soften the soil." The traveler asked, "Master, how do I do that?" The monk replied, "By paying attention, by seeing your patterns instead of fighting them, by holding your emotions gently instead of resisting them, by letting go of the belief that you are unchangeable." This is the step almost everyone skips. We try to change our actions without changing the inner conditions that shape them. We try to break habits without examining the pain beneath them. We try to create new identities without releasing the old ones. We try to build a garden on top of concrete. Buddhism teaches that suffering repeats because the mind is reacting from old impressions, samskaras, grooves carved into us by past reactions. Until you soften the old grooves, new patterns cannot hold. Psychology says the same thing. Neural pathways become rigid through repetition. You repeat today what you repeated yesterday, unless something interrupts the loop. The monk's teaching is simple. Change doesn't begin with new action. It begins with new awareness. So how do you soften the mind? You don't force it. You don't fight it. You don't shame yourself into change. You soften it by awareness, honesty, compassion, slowing down, seeing your reactions instead of drowning in them, becoming curious instead of critical, breathing instead of bracing. A soft mind is open, flexible, honest, willing to let go, willing to be wrong, willing to learn. A soft mind doesn't reject growth. It welcomes it. Growth becomes natural, the way a seed naturally sinks into soft earth. The traveler stood there staring at the two seeds, one sinking, one stuck, and a deep truth surfaced inside him. He realized his life wasn't repeating itself because the world refused to change. It was repeating because he refused to change the inner soil. All his new goals were seeds thrown onto hardened ground. No wonder nothing grew. No wonder every year looked like the year before. He looked at the monk with gratitude and said, "Master, it's not the world that needs to change. It's the soil I carry inside me." The monk smiled, the kind of smile that only appears when someone finally sees the truth. "Prepare the soil," he said, "and everything else will grow naturally." If this story touched something inside you, remember this: your life does not change because you want it to. It changes because you prepare the mind that lives the life. Before planting new intentions, soften the inner soil. Release old patterns. See your reactions clearly. Make space for new possibilities. Because the moment the mind softens, growth becomes effortless. If this story resonated with you, subscribe for more Buddhist wisdom and modern psychological insights. And if you want to go even deeper into the forces that shape your life, watch my full video on karma, where I break down exactly why patterns repeat and how to break free for good.